welcome to Scary Stories Around the Campfire.
Yeah, yeah.
So, uh, you know, get a hot drink, join us around the fire,
Yes. Not mine.
and yes,
A little bit left of mine.
yeah, a little bit left. So, first scary story, when your moderator doesn't show up. Second scary story, when your attendees don't show up. Although we finally have one, so we're
We have
happy.
one, yes. Yes.
And so we're your hosts, Jeff, Jen, and Andy. Jeff, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. So she's terrified.
That's the spirit.
That's okay. That's fine. We'll make sure that you are that we keep you safe. And anyway, my name is Jeff Bloomer. I have been doing Adobe Analytics now for this is going to be 12 years. Started out working for Kroger. I was there for almost 11 years. 11 years.
And the audio cut out again. This is
This is our
next
other
scary
scary
story.
So we will apologize for any time that audio cuts out. But yes, so now I am working for Cardinal Health as their supervisor of digital analytics, and so primarily we are doing I'm in their pharmaceutical division, and so that's where we are doing primarily. We do implementation, that kind of stuff.
And audio gone.
Audio gone again. Okay.
And now you're back.
It's Adobe, but primarily we're doing Adobe Analytics and stuff like that. And so I will go ahead and turn it over before my audio cuts out again. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Jen. I do analytics everything for Torstar, which is a publishing company up in Canada. Our flagship newspaper is the Toronto Star, which you may or may not have heard of. And I've been doing analytics now for 18 years. So yeah, quite a long time. And I handle the Adobe, the Google Analytics. I used to do Parsley when we had Parsley, and now I do Marfiel now that we have Marfiel, and all the pixel trackers. So they keep me very busy. Andy?
Yeah. So I've not been doing it for 18 years. I've been in analytics space, I think, close to 10 years now. I've been in the MarTech space for a little bit longer, though. I've managed to I've had the privilege of working in various different industries, across a gamut of like just big things like PPC, not PPC, CPG. Yeah, CPG. Can't speak today. That's good. Another scary story. Consumer packaged goods, financial, legal, automotive, both on client side and consulting side. I currently work at Razorfish as the director of data instrumentation. So my role is a lot of times doing all the fun implementation work that some of the analysts don't really like doing, which is figuring out the fun ways to get data into Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, customer journey analytics, and also configuration of tools like Target, AJO, RTCDP, all kinds of fun stuff. So I've been very lucky to kind of have like a nice wide experience. Like I've met Jeff at Kroger, which was fun. So we worked, I think, the 2 weeks together period where like before we moved to personal finance. And then Jen, we haven't worked together, but it feels like we have because we've for this user group, we've worked a lot on presentations. So it's going to be a fun time talking through some scary stories. I'm excited to jump into it. So I'll hand it back over to you, Jen.
All right. So we just have a little housekeeping. We're the North American Eastern Time Zone user group, affectionately referred to as NOAM East, hence our little NOAM icon. So many of you, since you're here, are probably already members of the chapter. But if you aren't, feel free to sign up. You can hear about future sessions. And while you're there, we always recommend signing up for other chapters as well, even if they're in another time zone, because all the user groups have great info to share and are generally recorded. So you can watch them at any time at your convenience, which of course brings us to the most asked question. Will the session be recorded? Yes, absolutely. The audio and video portions of the session are recorded and will be posted shortly to the YouTube channel. And you can watch our past recordings there along with recordings from other user groups. So feel free to ask questions during the session. We love having engaged and interactive audiences.
Yep,
All right.
I'm watching this from YouTube right now, most likely.
Yes. So, all right. So, starting with scary stories, of course. How could it be anything other than the scream? So we've tried to collect, various different scary
Yes.
stories that we've encountered in our day-to-day lives and try to come up with ways of mitigating it, dealing with your business, trying to find the issue. And of course, if you have examples that you'd love to share, we'd love to hear them. So the first one that comes up quite often is investigating unspecified EVARs when you believe they should always be set. Uh, right. So, I mean, the first thing that comes across with anything with EVARs is, are you sure they are actually being set everywhere? Because so many times people see unspecified and it's perfectly legitimate just based on the way EVARs work. Anywhere where an EVAR is not set is unspecified. If you know if you have pages before an EVAR is set and then it's like visit level attribution, it will only be from the point it's set moving forward. So any of the pages that are before that are going to be unspecified, and that's why you can actually on your EVARs, so any EVAR that you pull in where you have unspecified, you do have this filter where you can not include unspecified if that's truly the issue. Like, I mean, a lot of times your upper management doesn't like to see those unspecifieds. They are helpful for some cases, they are unhelpful in others. It's a use by use case. So you can always hide it and apply and only see the data that is relevant. So something like a campaign, might be set when somebody enters into your site, but that may not be the first page of the visit. It might be middle of the visit because somebody may have opened up the site, done something, triggered a marketing email, opened that email, entered into your site again with those campaigns, and only from that point on would you be tracking them. However, sometimes you are using EVARs not as a conversion variable, but as, say, you're tracking the full URL because you want that 255 character and it's set at the hit level. And as far as you're aware, it's being set everywhere. That's where things get a little tricky because the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out where the issue is happening. So what we like to do often is, break down by page, by our custom page name, if you have it, by custom link, trying to figure out where the EVAR has not been set. And of course, if it's a hit level, something like page view occurrence, the hit level values make sense. Sometimes you're actually going to want your EVAR instance. So often what I will do is I will do the page view. I will do my custom link instances. I will also do, let's see if it's in this demo data. So page events. So page events is very similar to custom link instances, but you can see there is some differences here. And of course, I have to bring back unspecified. And here's where we see, okay, we do have page views, we have it on links, we have everywhere. And again, form ID, this is sample data. I'm not sure, where that is, but I'm going to assume unspecified is completely legitimate here. I don't know if they've got a URL
Jeff, I see.
in an EVAR. Oh, yep, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that, Andy?
Jeff, you're on mute. Jeff had his hand up.
Oh,
I have a point that I want to bring up
absolutely.
when you're done with your illustration.
Oh,
well, you can speak in at any time because again, I don't know what data we have to work with.
I don't like to interrupt, so I just want to make sure. One of the things that any time that you'll notice, so uh, one of my kind of pet peeves with Adobe Analytics sometimes, and a lot of also with a lot of with Workspace, which is by default a lot, and you'll see a lot of times when people build Adobe Analytics Workspace charts or freeform tables, is that the default automatically, you'll notice, is when you pull everything in, your totals automatically also brings in your grand totals, and you'll notice unspecified 9 times out of 10 is also going to roll in your largest total. And when you look at the grand total, it says 255 out of, and I'm trying to look, I see the largest in there. So
255.
yeah, your grand total. The one thing that I tend to do is I will first I will grab my all three totals at the top there. So I'll grab all at the same time, and then I'll hit the gear. And what I'll do is I'll immediately get rid of show grand total, because that unspecified contributes to that overall total. And sometimes I'll even get now show totals. Yes, I'll also have that, but that show grand total 9 times out of 10 is not usually helpful anyway, because what you're really wanting to do is you want to get the totals for what's in your table. You don't really need the grand total for everything. And that unspecified, again, a lot of times that's what's contributing to that show grand total. So what you really want to understand, and the thing is what you're wanting to do is, display what's really important to your data consumers. So anything that you can get out of your table that is not helpful toward what you're actually giving, what you're trying to actually display for your data consumers, that makes it easier. So when you pull that unspecified out of there, it's going to make it a lot easier also and more relevant to your data, because when people look at that, they're going to go, oh, 255. So right now, when it was said 255 out of 255, when you then just go ahead and put that in there for a minute. Go ahead and take unspecified out of there. You're going to see, okay, 105 out of 255. So now go ahead and remove that grand total out of there. Boom.
Cleaner. Yeah.
Now you have your relevant data in there. And see, that's a lot more. It's not distracting. When she was talking about your business leaders, they're going to see the relevant numbers in that table. And so you're not having distracting information in the table there when you're trying to talk about that. Because when they're looking at 105 out of 255, what's missing?
Yeah.
And so now you're actually talking about what's relevant in your table.
And to add on to what Jeff's saying with that too, there's like more than one way to do this kind of stuff. Like if you have situations where you want to have that grand total still, you can always too like take that like segment builder and just make a segment where this only shows when it's not unspecified.
Yes.
Apply there, and then you can still look at, like, if you want to have that same kind of like ability to look at grand totals, but not have that confusion. Sometimes it's best case scenario if like you have a panel that has like a lot of different like visualizations or like showing multiple like freeform tables that you're trying to showcase to executive leaders, instead of having to go through all of them and just check unspecified, literally doing that. So whenever anybody brings a new component into that workspace, it's already done for you by default.
Yep. Yeah. You can do that where in your initial settings, when you do for like your project settings, in the very beginning,
User preferences.
In all of your preferences, you can actually go out for freeform table. You can do all of that from here. Remove grand totals. You can get rid of sparkline. All of that, what I would call distracting things from the beginning. I even take out background, and I also, my favorite one is interpret 0 as no value. That one is fantastic because it makes there's a lot less chaos in your tables. And so it's a wonderful thing. And I also get rid of background, because 9 times out of 10, you probably don't need background anyway. So, and then you can, if you want to have true like formatting and all that, I know we're going a little bit beyond some of the other stuff, but these kinds of things, really help to make that table. And when you're getting into you're into your unspecified data and really trying to understand what really works well, this helps immensely when you're trying to understand those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I know it's a little bit of a larger tip around that, but it just it works toward helping those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I know.
And again, oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Andy?
sorry. I know we've been talking about this one a lot, but I do like. I think the one thing we haven't talked about yet, which I think is also relevant, is when we're we're breaking out other dimensions. The other piece to consider is this a dimension that we have set only on specific event types? Because if you pull in occurrences, you're going to get it across everything. Whereas if like this is an event that only fires on page views, that might be another way. Like sometimes just the way you break it down by the events can even be like before you go too much of like pulling your hair out, like, wait a minute, is this fire like why is it all is unspecified? Do you have the right like event type pull to it? Because so often, especially if you have mixed metrics in there, you might have some unspecified because it's expected to be because you never set it there. So
yeah. And again, this is more for, I wouldn't necessarily always have these three in a table. This is more for investigation. Like after I see, oh, I do have page views and I do have links. Now I want to see where this unspecified isn't firing if I expect form to be on every page. I'm not saying that form is something I would expect on every page, but for the lack of a better value, then I might actually do this. I might break it down by, okay, well, what pages am I seeing unspecified on? Oh, okay, these are the pages. Maybe that's where I need to start investigating it. And you'll notice that your custom link and your page events go to 0 because those don't exist on the page level. So now I want to see, well, what links, what actions is it missing on? And then I can narrow it down to actions. Now there's still an interesting, why do I have like so many? Well, I guess because the unspecified, yeah, I don't know. And this is where things get dicey. It's like, okay, what are these extra page events where I'm not getting a value that doesn't have a custom link? And that gets tricky, trying to identify what's going on. And that's where you have to know your data and so start going, okay, well, what other correlation data do I have that I'm expecting? What can I break this down by to try and figure out where most of those 150,000 are coming from? And again, this is a sample data set, so we're not exactly familiar with what should be in the context, but in your own data set, just try breaking it down by anything and everything that you think can help you identify where the value is missing so you can investigate, is it supposed to be missing? Is it not supposed to be missing? If it is supposed to be there, why isn't it there? What context has it been missed on so you can actually fix your tagging? And the other thing that messes a lot of people up, especially when they're looking at visits that have unspecified, when they expect your EVAR to be set everywhere, life cycle metrics. You can't set dimensions on your life cycle metrics. So if you're looking at visits with unspecified, any visit to your mobile app is going to trigger a life cycle. It's going to have an unspecified, and then those unspecifieds are going to be part of your visit. So sometimes you actually have to create a segment that excludes your life cycle metrics. So I don't think there's mobile app in here because I don't see the launch event, but you would basically have to exclude your launch events, your any of those life cycle metrics from the data, just so those unspecifieds don't show up in your visit. It is a trick that I've had to do on multiple occasions simply because of the nature of how life cycle metrics trigger. All right. Do you guys have anything else to add about investigating your unspecified EVARs when you believe they should be set?
I have a lot of things, but some of those secret for now, because there'll be more content to come. I've given presentations on the debugging variables that we'll have to find a link for, because I think that is another way you can look at this, potentially implementation wise. But I want to make sure we get some of these other ones we've got laid out. So I think we can jump to the next one.
All right.
If there's any questions from the audience.
Yes. I mean, yeah. Feel free to chime in at any moment. Oh, no questions. Okay. So the next one is investigating marketing channels. And again, This is similar to your EVARs because it's got attribution, it's got expiries. First thing you need to know is what is the expiry and when was your last change? Because you might be seeing results from before you made your update. There is a 30-day default attribution on marketing channels. If you made your changes to your marketing channel last week and you're looking at the data, you might still be seeing the results from before that change. So just be aware of at what point you made the change, what your expiry is, and what you should start seeing. The other thing you should look at is marketing channel instance. So as you know, when you come into a marketing channel, that marketing channel is again maintained for 30 days, and every single page view is going to follow through with that until it expires or until it's set with something else. So if you're trying to investigate your marketing channels, looking at your page views, this is a lot of data that you got to sort through where you're like, oh, like what's going on here? If you look at the marketing channel instance, it's much, much, much less because this is the actual instance where that marketing channel is being set. So if you're trying to investigate why the marketing channel is not being set to the value it is supposed to be set on, particularly if you're actually trying to pull out a CID, you might actually want to look specifically at the instance and then what is the URL, what is the page, what is actually driving that, why didn't your CID get picked up into your marketing channel. That's basically, I see this all the time. Like people are always looking at their visits, their page views, their visitors, and it's like, no, you have to look at the instance because the instance is the only place that's going to tell you exactly where where it was set so that you can try to fix it. And then sometimes you also need to do live testing. I have been known to hack test to see what's happening, particularly when you're talking about coming from search. I will literally use my console to go into Google search, change a URL to point to my QA environment, and then click on that link that points to my QA environment, simply so I can actually see the behavior of Google going to my site, and then what did it actually get picked up as? Did it get to the correct marketing channel? And you can do this with, passing in your CIDs. You can do this, with any refer by using your console. Try to replicate exactly what's going on. Again, apps are a little bit more difficult, especially like, somebody coming from like the Facebook app going to your site. All right. I mean, there are things you can do, but again, it's tricky, but sometimes you just have to get creative. Andy, please, you don't have to raise your hand. Just speak up.
I wanted to let you finish your thought because I think the only thing I would caveat is if you're doing this, one thing I would strongly recommend doing is if you have the Experience Platform Debugger tool, flip your environment to dev, or make sure that you're setting it up like doing it on a dev environment when you're testing this stuff, because the last thing you want to do, especially if you're seeing like it's a situation where you're not getting much traffic to one, the last thing you want to do is like if it's like talking about CRM campaigns or ones where like the tracking codes have like iterations that make them basically unique down to like one or two visits. The last thing you want to do is give a false impression of like someone that actually wasn't there and do that in your prod data. So that's one thing I would caution, because it's so easy to start doing this, debugging it, like, oh my god, the URL quick, and then you go and paste it and you're like, wait a minute, I just attributed this campaign and you gave your own click your own click fake, and you don't want to do that. So I would recommend doing this either in like a dev environment or making sure you have this flipped over to like some way of debugging in dev that you're not sending this to your prod analytics, because but that I think there's a very like valid point just to constantly use the console. Developer tools are your friend. It is not, you don't have to be a developer to use developer tools. I think it's a common misconception. We could talk about myth busting on all kinds of things, but that's why I think dev tools is a huge friend of help for analytics, because you can simulate things even if they're not there currently. You can links from like Google search, Facebook. It's a great way to test that and test your logic there. And it's a great way to force testing things to make sure they fire correctly, even if there were links internally, if you want them to fire exit links. So it's a great, I highly recommend doing it like dominating.
Well, yeah. To move yours like one more step forward. I actually don't use the debugger tool. I use a tool called resource override, which means 100% of the time I'm actually pointed to my dev environment. I don't have to set it up every time I'm testing. I don't have to make sure a tool is open. It is 100% set up all the time with my prod going to my dev environments all the time. So basically, unfortunately, there's a bug in this version where it won't allow me to name them, so it's a little hard to remember which one is which. But basically, what I end up doing is I have that on all the time. So no matter which site I load, no matter which configuration I'm in, if I'm in QA or I'm in dev or I'm in, state, whatever, I am always pointed to my dev suite. Unless I turn it off. If I have to do something in production, then I manually turn it off. But yeah, for me, like it's 100% of the time I'm never inflating data to my production, and I don't have to remember in my dev tools debugger to actually do the override, which resets itself on every use. So Jeff, do you have anything to add? Nope. He's just staying silent now.
I do want to do a time check real quick because I know the original time this ended up was at noon, and I want to be respectful to our guest if they have
Yes.
a hard stop, but otherwise we can keep going. Oh,
Do have a hard stop. Dang. Well, thank you for at least taking part of your day to come and join us. Well, we're glad you learned something.
Yes,
I
so
know we
glad
didn't
to
get
hear
through
that
all
you
the
learned
topics.
stuff. Yes, that's awesome.
We're just happy somebody showed up
Yes.
because we, about 15 minutes after, we're like, okay, no one's showing
You
up.
too.
So we ended up just having a chat.
All right.
well, I want to thank everyone for watching today and spending a little time with us walking through this stuff. I know we have a
Yes.
few ones in the workspace, but we can absolutely cover them in a future user group session if there's interest.
Yep.
But look forward to anybody's comments on YouTube or we have a community league post we do for this, right?
Yeah, we can do a follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, we can share that out, and if you have any
Definitely
questions,
so.
we can absolutely talk through these more. But otherwise, we'll see you all at the next user group session.
All right. Yep.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.